This is called For Six People I Love as the World Burns, Part 3. Three, the world is still on fire. In this room, it is quiet, save for the needle hitting the record groove and the tip-tap of fingers as they move across typewriter keys. We write love letters to our city. We write love notes to the burning world. We pour tears over newspaper pages. Hearts become coarse, yet never calloused from caring. We spray desperation on crumbling walls, and we fill backpacks with paste and paper. We paint our city with our passion and our poetry. The poems begin to be about one another. I say, we may not be holding hands, but our shadows are. We inch closer together on the sidewalk and speak in the language of urgency and 11th hour miracles. We paint portraits of our pain for the uncaring and breathe in mania mixed with hope. Hope, despair, hope, in a never-ending suicide summer cycle. All summer long, self-immolation haunts my dreams. Our vision is our voice, and our voices carry small and steady across the city. And they echo across crumbling walls. At dawn, sleeps come in my face, with my face resting against yours. The first time we ever kissed, I could feel it coming. My heart had never thundered like this at the might of a first kiss before. Inhale, exhale. With sleep, we give thanks to the blessings that are our tender hearts that keep beating, despite a world engulfed in madness and war that we can't shut out. Inhale, exhale. Give thanks to the fragile human hearts that still beat within frail chests in nights that allow us to take flight from ruined nests. And this is from the first zine I ever wrote. It's actually like one of the first short stories I ever wrote. It's kind of long, but it feels really important to read today because it's about a trans woman who is dead. And when a few years after she passed away, I just really wanted to write down as much of her story as I could because it deserved to not be forgotten. It's called Mosca's Last Ride. I know tragically little about where your story started, though others would fill me in on some of the details later. I do remember exactly where our pages first turned to the same chapter, Denver, Colorado, 2003. Hannah Dobbs and I thundered down LaPan Street, skateboard wheels on pavement. That sound that I am as accustomed to as my mother's voice. I am 22 years old, entering adulthood, and I wake every morning with the feeling that the world is burning, and I move through it in a blur of borrowed time. We wake on dirty floors to an endless war, and I can't help but feel it's all coming down around us. 22 years old, all my friends all around, at the show, at the bar, at the secret spot. Sometimes amidst the laughter and the sound of bottles clinking, I stop and listen. This city, it's a fucking engine. You can hear it grinding down, grinding on, progressing against itself. I stay out late at night, walking, riding, listening, engine pulse. When it quiets down to a hum finally, then I feel at peace. You were in the front yard. When I see you for the first time amongst the dry West Denver desert grass and debris, that image of you is forever burned into my head. Dirty green dress, grandma glasses, 5 o'clock shadow, hands and face covered in tattoos, wild-eyed and smiling like a maniac. Your dog is at your side. We make small talk. I never remember what about, but Hannah and I have to leave. I push off on my skateboard and your pit bull lunges and latches on. She pulls it right out from under my feet and begins to run away with it like it's a bone. I'm absolutely sure if I say anything, she will snap my leg in half. Chessie Bordeaux, you drop that skateboard right now. I liked you both from the start. And I'm gonna skip some. Austin, oh wait. Spring comes, persuasive as ever. You roll through, we jump in the van headed east. Denver to Kansas, Kansas to Oklahoma, Oklahoma to Texas. It's hot and dry. I lay in the back of the van rubbing Chessie's belly and listening to your stories. We get pulled over once and I sit in awe as you convince a befuddled state trooper that you are actually your older brother and you use nothing but a previous speeding ticket as your identification. Austin, Texas. I've never been here before. 10 years older, you show us around the streets you called home in your youth. That particular war zone known as punk rock in the 80s. Life on the streets and off of them. You talk about the time heavy metal kids shot your principal and the military recruiter in the high school. You tell me about the time Pamela Anderson gave you $100. I still tell people that story sometimes. They never believe it, but it's just too fucking weird to not be true. If anybody wants to hear that story later, I will gladly tell you, because it's really weird, and it's about Pamela Anderson giving a homeless trans woman $100. I hold it all in my jaded mind, in my body, chronicling the lost, our secret history. In the sticky hot Austin night, we stay in an ancient punk house. It's been here since sometime in the late 80s. Kylie and I sleep in the abandoned house next door. You poke your head in the window sometimes in the morning, bringing us coffee or candles. You send Chessie in to wake us up, happily licking our sleepy faces and wagging her tail. We lay there at night, listening to the city, writing letters or kissing. This isn't the life I want to live forever, a moldy house at the edge of town, struggling to feel anything, but it'll do just fine for now. A decade later, some of the details are hazy. There were front porch stories and a lot of walks through the Austin night in a punk show that looks like something straight out of a Mad Max movie. A week later, you dropped us off on the highway outside of town. You gave Kylie a knife and wished us luck, and we watched you drive away. We caught rides to Arkansas, then North Carolina. I never saw you again. Just like that, life is fleeting and beautiful and tragic sometimes. We weren't close, but you were my friend, and I looked up to you. I called you to say I wanted to visit Nashville twice. You offered to open your home to me twice, and I ended up stuck on the side of the highway outside of Richmond twice. You never told me trying to hitch with a dog was so hard. Then, of course, I did make it home to see you for the last time, to say goodbye. The call came Saturday morning. I looked at my phone. There were 3 missed calls in under 5 minutes. This is never a good sign. Did I ever tell you I was walking patients into the abortion clinic, past all those disgusting men and their mutilated fetus pictures and Bible quotes? The voice on the other end of the line was shaking. Mosca died last night. I hung up my phone and I kept my head down and jumped on my bike to ride home. To this day, consider it a small victory not losing my shit in front of the protesters. You know how those motherfuckers are, preying on any of your emotions, and then I would have punched one of them, and then I just would have gone to jail and missed your funeral. I jumped on my bike, I rode home as fast as I could, and I laid in bed. I spent the rest of the afternoon laying in bed with hope, crying. The next day, we drove all through the wind and rain to say goodbye to you. It was hurricane season in the south, and we got the tail end of one just as it dissipated on its way inland. The day is gray and muddy. I walked up the stairs into your house, Chessie curled up on Josh's bed all alone. It was the first time I had ever seen her without you. I sat down next to her and it hits me like a storm. You were gone forever. Morning drag and funeral parade, painted faces and instruments, west on Chestnut Street, left on Montfort Avenue, down Haywood. We walk to the river, your funeral barge in tow. The band plays your songs. At the river, the raft we made you is laid out. We draw on it, we write you letters, we tell stories, we sing to you. I close my eyes and try to find the strength to believe that you can somehow still feel how loved you were. The sun starts to set in the west, and your raft is set alight and sent down the river. Of course, since it's made by punks, it just fucking sinks immediately. Right then, we hear the whistle before we see it, long and loud, getting closer. I feel the ground rumble. The train rolls through, slow and steady. Some of us cry, some of us laugh. Most of us just do both. You love trains so much, and of course, you caught the westbound just in time to take you home. That was the day I stopped believing in coincidences. Later they would tell me that a train blew past your funeral procession in Kentucky too. Josh swore your coffin was lighter after it passed. I think she caught it, he said. 3 years later, Asheville is my home, and I actually live in your room, the place I never got to visit you until after you were gone. Sometimes it's quiet, and I say goodnight to you before I go to sleep. Other times I ask you what you think of the outfit I'm trying to wear. So many times when my body dysphoria gets the better of me and I feel like my skeleton wants to crawl out of my skin and never come back, I ask you questions. I try my best to hear your answers. I have so many questions on nights like this when my skin just won't fit. I know you knew what it was like too. You wore it so bravely, long before I did, this awkward, beautiful, mismatched survivor skin. 3 years. We're getting the baby. I nannied a baby for part of the time in this story. We're getting the baby ready to go out. She isn't even a year old yet. She sits on the edge of my bed playing with her favorite stuffed animal that lives in my room. She's still so young and her life is already tumultuous and unsteady, like so many kids before her. Her back is to us, and a breeze blows through the room even though the windows were closed. She looked up and into the corner of my room, and oh, Mosca, did you see that baby smile? Did you see how she laughed, how she clapped and waved to you? We couldn't see you, but I knew it was you. Who else could it be? This is and always will be your room, after all. I close my eyes for a moment and am not fooled by sight. I see you. In that child's smile and delighted eyes, I know it is you. In an instant, you are safe, hale and whole beyond the veil, in that warm place beyond hate and hurt and bitter cynicism. I know I'll see you there again one day, through kind eyes and like that child's. When the last curtain falls and we can let free our masks and finally feel free in our skin. 3 years later, I said goodbye to Chessie, the first pit bull I ever loved. I can still see the way you two looked, how you fit when you walked together. And I can see you now, safe and sound beyond all harm. Thank you for making that baby laugh. And this is called For Shotguns and Sisterhood. It is about a friend who is very much still alive, so that's awesome. Neon lit night, threatening rain, soaking in sorrow worth its weight in the thunderclouds hovering above, with black mold blooming, taking toxic root through every room until sadness seeps through and through and through, entering the body through the nose, traveling through the lungs, poisoning the heart. We ride just off Highway 70 with the windows down and the radio up. Your laughter comes as loudly as it does freely, hair tossed by the warm breeze. Nervous men sit idling in cars, shuffle, whisper, and hiss. They breathe their leering greedies and breathy entreaties. But we are the lightning, tearing the sky in two, burning holes in the fragile air. And we came to tear this wretched and weary world they knew right in two. We are the lightning, offered to the night, brave as brass knuckles, slipped secretly in a purse, brave as lipstick applied to kill, brave as mascara running with steel-toed stomping thunder. We are the lightning, our bravery birthed and memories held, moments lived, just like this one, then left in the dust behind us, shimmering skins shed, endured to be deconstructed, broken down, transformed, transfigured, reborn. We are and remain the lightning. Thank you. I have zines for sale if you want one.